What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Police. And we're returning to the 1983 album Synchronicity. Thank you again to both Lori and Stephan. And the next track, As I Jump Over Every Breath You Take, which I reacted to in the early days of the Police deep dive when I was going through that greatest hits compilation provided by Mr. Solo. Shout out to you as well. And so the next track after that is King of Pain, which is an intense sort of title. Of course, it depends on which direction that pain is running, and perhaps it's bi-directional, but if you cause pain to others, you could be the king of pain, but if you experience and endured a lot of pain yourself, you could also be titled King of Pain. So obviously that's a very different scenario one way or the other, though again, the idea of giving pain or causing pain in others, but also being pained by that, or perhaps feeling a different type of pain at the same time, I feel like that would be an alternative scenario entirely. So yes, obviously the direction the pain is flowing would make a great difference, but ultimately it doesn't sound good if the title King is being bestowed, because it suggests that it's beyond the pain that is either inflicted by or experienced by most people, or indeed all other people. So let's see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is the Police. The track is King of Pain, and it's included on their 1983 album Synchronicity. Give me one moment, I apologize. Okay, here we go.
There's a little black spot on the sun today.
I think I heard this.
It's the same old thing as yesterday. There's a black hat caught in a high tree top. There's a flagpole rack and the wind won't stop. I have stood here before inside the pouring rain, with the world turning circles running round my brain. I guess I'm always hoping that you'll end this way, but it's my destiny to be the king of pain. There's a little black spot on the sun today. It's my soul out there. It's the same old thing as yesterday. It's my soul out there. There's a black hat caught in a high tree top. It's my soul out there. There's a flagpole It's the same old thing as yesterday. I stood in the cold inside the pouring rain. The world turned in circles, running round my brain. I guess I'm always hoping that you'll end this way. 'Cause mine is believed to be the key of pain. King of pain. King of pain. King of pain. I'll always be 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 king of pain.
We have an answer to who the King of Pain is, and I don't think it's any of the scenarios I considered. It sounds like someone, the narrator, who feels pain in the world in lots of different ways and on lots of different scales. So, I mean, we start with some imagery where, it's maybe not immediately brutal or like viscerally painful. The idea of like a hat stuck up on a branch on a tree where you can't get to it, or I think like a flagpole that's being, run ragged by the wind. But as the song goes along, it feels like it's more and more intensely or physically painful, and not just for humans, not just for him, but a beached whale, a fox that's been chased by a huntsman's pack, a bird that's had its back broken, and these lethally painful events. And it feels like he's feeling the pain of the world everywhere he turns, and he's standing in rain, wandering around this pain, and he doesn't know how to stop feeling it. And indeed, it's the essence of that phrase, the refrain at the end, like he'll always be the king of pain, sounds like he's just condemned to be that empathetic and sensitive to the pain in the world. And it's fair to say, like, in the biological world, never mind before we get to the world of sapient humans and the things that humans do to each other on small and larger scales, but just in the biological world more generally, there's more suffering every day than it's beyond all decent human contemplation. And so if you felt that very keenly and unavoidably, it would be a very relentless, brutal type of psycho-emotional experience. And then to see pain in objects and their placement and their significance, even if it's not like an actual living thing feeling the pain, because you get a sense of that would cause someone to be upset or sad because of the way this object is now placed, or the significance of its existence vis-a-vis someone who must have owned it, or someone who took pride in it, and so on. So it feels like there's pain everywhere this person looks. Now, he's talking to another person, but I wonder if that's him addressing God and wondering why there's all this suffering, or why can't someone take away it all with the sweep of a supernatural hand. So that's more speculative, and even my interpretation about his sense of pain, and especially those lines at the beginning about, again, a black hat up in a high tree branch and so on, that's interpretive. I'm not quite sure what's happening there. But yes, it feels like the narrator is and will always be the king of pain, because he just can't stop acknowledging and recognizing the suffering out in the world on multiple levels and in multiple ways. Sonically, I feel like I must have heard that at least in part. It was more the more energetic chorus, and once the song got going, that struck me. Although I suppose right away it's sort of like, wait, have I heard this before? So I'm guessing I heard it, but not fully, not immersively, just on the radio when I was a kid, or in some montage on MTV or something like that. But basically, this song sounded vaguely familiar, but it didn't come back like, oh, definitely, I know this one. I've heard it in all these parts. So yeah, it's likely to be the case with a lot of tracks from the 80s, where growing up with an older brother and older sister who were listening to the radio a lot, I just internalize bits and pieces of tracks without fully knowing where they came from, or sitting down and listening to them in a very intensive way. So A great tune, though. I think that's a fantastic track, and one that is very different from a lot of the early Police stuff, which again had this sort of reggae rock synthesis in a lot of cases. But I think this is definitely a winner, and interesting that, you know, 2 tracks in a row on this album, Every Breath You Take, based on me definitely hearing that one a lot over the years. And this one, which I'm guessing is a hit, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say this is probably a hit. It's interesting that as the band is, you know, rapidly approaching what would be the end, they were making songs that I think were, you know, very high quality. So another great one from the Police. Thank you again to Lori and Stephan. From Luca and I, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.